Hello everyone. Thanks so much for joining me today. A year ago, last year for Christmas, I had a video on my blog to show you how to make this really cute little pine cone. So we're going to revisit that for the December 2020 Paper Talk Paper Flower Challenge. And I think you're going to find it surprisingly easy to make. So let's get on with it. We'll go back to the video from last year. And once again, thanks so much for joining me. Hello, my crafty friends. Thanks so much for joining me for Handcrafted Holiday 2019. This week on the blog, we're going to be making this cute little pine cone out of 180 gram crepe paper. And I spray painted it with a little Design Master, and I'll walk you through the entire process. For our application, I put 2 of them in my holiday wreath, and I think they look really great there, don't you? So once again, thanks so much for joining me, and let's get into it and make a pine cone. Hello, my crafty friends, and welcome to our tutorial on how to make a crepe paper pine cone. So the items that we're going to need, the supplies that you're going to need for this project are obviously some scissors. These are my favorite Kai, and they're dirty. I see that they've got adhesive all over them. These are the Kai 5166, I believe, 6165. These are my favorite. I have 2 pair of them here. One's in better shape than the other. Some crepe paper, and this is a Cartefini 180 crepe. I believe it might be called bark. And I've got some 18 gauge wire, pair of handy dandy cutters, which I use to cut the wire. And I have these spun cotton eggs. And the first thing I'm going to do is I've turned on my hot glue gun, and I'm waiting for it to get hot. So as soon as it gets hot, I'm going to heat that up, and I'm going to put a good supply of glue in the hole and on my wire to secure that really well. So as soon as that heats up, I will be right back, and we will move on with that. Thanks so much. Okay, so my hot glue gun has had a chance to heat up. So I'm going to take it and I'm going to put some hot glue in right into the hole. And I'm going to also add a little to my wire, and I'm going to put it right in there and let that set. Set aside my hot glue gun, and I have a piece of about 8 or 9 inch bark colored piece of 180 gram paper. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cover at least the top of the egg. So I'm going to cut 3 or 4 pieces of this. Get space clear here. I'm going to cut this in half just because it's going to make it easier to deal with it. You can see what kind of stretch that 180 gram paper has to it. And just going to add some glue in random spots here. And I'm going to start covering this egg. And I'm just going to randomly kind of wrap it around there. I think because I have enough crepe here, I'm going to try to cover most of it. I think it'll just give us a cleaner look if there's any gaps in how our little pine cone leaves, I'll call them, the pines. If there's any gaps in there, they will not show. fold that on there. And take a second piece, and you can see with just one piece stretched out, we've covered most of that egg. And this is really similar to the artichoke that we did. If you followed that, I'm just going to go ahead and go around a couple of times here just to fill in. And, you know, there doesn't have to be any rhyme or reason how you do this, as long as, as long as you get it covered. And I think if you cover the whole thing, it makes more sense than just covering the top, which is what I said in the beginning, was we'll just cover the top. But, you know, now that I think about it, I did have a couple of gaps in my prototypes. So I think it's better to cover all of it. Let's get some good coverage there. Here we go. Just smooth that all on there. And there we have it. We've got a totally covered egg. I'll put a little bit of glue right in there, just to smooth that down. Okay, so we got that done. So now we're going to form the upper cone of our pine cone, and we're going to cut a piece of this crepe that's about 1 inch to start with. So these little pieces are going to be pretty small. They're pretty close to the size of that. I'm going to give this a little bit of a stretch, probably from, instead of like 8 or 9 inches, it's closer to, let's see, 17 or 18 inches, because this crepe paper stretches a lot. So this is just for the top ones that we're going to give it this much stretch. And as I've done in the past, I like to cut my pieces in 3s, and we're going to cut just these little pieces for the top, and I'll show you what they look like. They're just little teardrop shaped pieces. See, like, see it against the white. And they don't have to be exact. We'll cut 3 more, and that might be enough to get us started. We just want to get that little top done. Let's take these tiniest pieces, and we're just going to cup them. And we're going to take these probably 6 or so. 6 is probably going to be enough to, and we're just going to, when you're cupping it, just cup it on the top like that. So I've got these pieces, and I'm going to add a little glue to each one, just at the base. And I'm going to do all 6 of them. So this is the only row that we're going to do this way. Then we will make them a little longer and do some other, but we just want to create that cone on the top. So we're going to take this, it's going to stick right up on the edge of, right up from the tip, and we're just going to go around, oops, drop that one, and just create and let them overlap each other a little bit. Just as we did the same thing on the artichokes that we did. You can see I'm just gonna concentrically close that up and cover up the tip of the cone, so to speak. Well, that one's not in there right. There we go. Oh, there we go. Two more. And the last one. There we go. So now we have the tip of our pine cone covered. This one, I'm gonna recup that just a little. There we go. Put it back on there. There, see? Okay, so now we have that. Can you see that? Okay, so the second row, we're going to set those aside. Use this for your next one. I'm going to probably do 4, 5, 6 of these. And I'm going to cut this one a little longer. These are probably going to be, let me get my ruler out here, probably about 1.25 inches. Is that right? Yeah, about 1.25 inches. And we're going to stretch this, but just a little this time. So we've got, let me measure this to be exact. I've got about 9 inches here. And I'm just going to stretch it to maybe 12 at the most. And I'm going to cut these a little bit bigger. Can you see that okay? And then again, we're going to cut our teardrop shape. This is a real common petal shape that we're going to cut. 2, 3 more. We're going to cut this entire strip. We may or may not need them all for this row. And this crepe paper is very forgiving. There's only room for 2 on this one. There we go. Okay, so I've got these. And we're going to do these a little differently. We're going to take these, and here we're going to take it, and we're going to take the outside and use the back of our scissors and create an outside curl like that. And then we're going to take it, put a deep cup in there. We'll do that again. Create a, and then cup it. And you just want to like pull from the very center. You don't want to do a big cup on it. Just want to like create that deep cup in there, just pulling on the center of the paper. So that you have a nice rounded piece. And like I said, we may or may not use all of these on this row, but you can use them on your next one. So that's why I like to do a few at a time. You're just curling that around it. You're not really pulling on it too much as you are curling it, using your thumb to pull it around your scissors. Create that cone, that pine cone effect. Just flick it with the back of your thumb. With your thumb. There And they're all different. And if you look at a pine cone in nature, they are pretty irregular. I mean, it's not symmetrical. Might look like it is at first glance. And I guess to some extent probably is a little symmetrical, but not terribly. Okay, so we'll just take like 5 or 6 of these. I'm going to go for the smaller of them here. So there, I've got 6. Let's start with those. And we're just going to come right up under where we were before. And we're going to just line them up, one like little soldiers go around. Just because we've got glue just on the very end of it. That one's a little crooked, so let's fix that. So these are, again, a little concentric. And once we're all done, we're going to kind of pull these out a little bit. So don't stress too much right now at how they look. We'll get to that. Okay, so we're going to set those aside. Okay. So you can see we've got, it looks a little disheveled at the moment, but it'll come together. So our next row, we did 1.25 inches on that row, and we're going to go a good 1.5 inches, maybe a little longer on this next row. And we're going to stretch it just a little. Hardly at all, okay? And these petals are probably about 3/4, and let's go to half, 3/4 of an inch wide. And I like to cut 3 petals at a time, like before. Fold them over. And you need a really good, strong pair of sharp scissors. You've got to have really sharp scissors for this. And then we want to give it a real long tail on it, so to speak. So fold at the top, come down and give it a tail. Well, we can't get 2 of them out of there. Just 1 more. Okay, so these we're going to do a little differently. We are going to do the same fanning on the outside, just to create that. And we're going to do the same cupping, but we're going to pinch this end just with our fingers. And I like to lick my fingers and just give that a little twist. And that gives us that nice cup. Same thing here. Cup it. Just pinch it right in the very center and pull. Don't do any of the outside, just the center. And again, grab it with your fingers. I like to just twist it a little. You can see what I said about the tail. This one's a little wonky. Yeah. Okay, and then cup it, twist it, And like I said, I just kind of lick my fingers a little because it gives you a little traction on the edge of the paper. Cup it. And then just moisten your fingers just a little, just to give you that. So we're not pulling out, we're not really making them any wider, so to speak. We're just pulling in that center just to create the cup. Hard to believe that the holidays are like right around the corner, isn't it? Thanksgiving is on Thursday, and I hope you've been following along on the blog. I will show you I did film the start of my Thanksgiving table, and I'll just show you the finished product. Gave you the basics on that. And there we go. Okay, so we've got these. So let's just do them one row at a time. So I'm just going to take some of these. I'm going to put some glue on that, just on the base and then down the tail. On the base and then down the tail. And I work pretty quickly. Now you have to do it at your own pace. You may not work as quickly as I do. So you may not want to do this many petals at once because you obviously don't want your glue to dry before you get done. So the trick is where all of these are, we're going to put this second row of petals in between each one. And you're just going to take the tip of it. And this is where it's really important to have like a damp cloth next to you because you're going to end up with glue on your fingers. And then go in between the next ones. And you can see where we did them before. And you just want to glue just this very tip. Because we're going to come in and pull these out afterwards. One more on this row. There we go. So you can see we've gone and we've filled in all of those. And now we're going to go in and fill in that row. And I'm going just below the last ones. We're going to need a few more of this height. And you just want to make sure you're just getting the tip of that on there. And I got too much glue on my hands. Okay, so let's wipe my hands off. I use baby wipes and I use alcohol. I think I've shown you this trick before. Alcohol is really good at getting all those globs off, and it's good for wiping down your table because it dries so quickly with no residue. Okay, so we're going to cut another row about the same height. Barely a little bit of stretch, barely at all. That's enough. Cut more. And again, we may or may not use, I think this is a little short. Yeah, I need to cut this. I need to cut them a little bit longer than that. It's almost 1.5 inches, really. Give them their little tails. Looks like I can get 4 here. There we go. Same thing with these. And as you can see, I'm just flicking this a little, okay? And just in the center. And then this one's a little wonky. There we go. Still a little wonky. There we go. And pine cones are pretty rustic. And then in the next couple rows, let's just put these on, see where we are. May not need these, all of these. So we want to finish this row, and then we're going to go longer. So you just want to fill in between the ones that you put on before. Over on the other side. And I think that's probably going to do it for that one. Okay, let's set those aside. Okay, so it's still looking a little not great, but it'll come together. So our next row, we're going to go a full 2 inches pretty much, or let's see, yeah, pretty close to 1 3/4 anyway. Let's do 1 3/4 on this one. And we aren't going to stretch these at all. And we're going to make them a little narrower. And these are going to be a little harder to cut. Because these are going to be the unopened portion. Because the pine cone opens, you know, it opens at the bottom, but it comes at the top. But as it comes out, I think we're going to get plenty of stretch in these as we pull them down and get that narrow in there. And we're going to need a couple. You can cut the rest of your paper at this height. Ooh, that's going to be too thick. Cut. Let's do this. We'll cut that last one by itself because paper just gets too thick to cut. This last one. And let's go ahead and do another row. because we aren't really stretching this paper, we're cutting it a little narrower because we're going to get that stretch in it after we cut the petals. Okay, so let's do these. And if you're doing multiple pine cones, you can cut as many petals as you would like. We're just going to twist that up. You want to get a little bit of curl on these. Too much. There we go. And again, you just want to cup it in the very center. There we go. And as you are using the back edge of your scissors, oops, let's get away. As you're doing this with the back edge of your scissors, you're kind of coming out to the side just a little, creating that curve on it. Oops, backwards. It's okay. No harm, no foul. Works the same way. So I'll continue to do the rest of these pines, I guess technically they are, and I will come back to you when I've completed it. Okay, so I went ahead and finished these petals, and we're going to attach these, and then we're going to come back in and probably do a few more. And I think that we're going to do the same thing here, put a little on the inside and then down the tail. I think that one strip of paper, that 8 or 9 inch strip, is enough to do maybe this whole pine cone. If we need a little more, it's going to be just a little. So let's do these. So again, we're going to come in between where we put, so you can see we've 2 petals there and a gap. So we're going to fill in the gap here. Coming down just a little. Okay, same thing, next one. Right in there. Right here. Another one here. Okay, so there's a row. Okay, let's go ahead and got that. Let's do a few more here. Enough to do another row. Do the same thing. We're going to come in and fill in, and we're coming in just below where we put the last ones, in between the previous. Put one more right in there. You want to keep that cup in there. We're just going to keep going. One more, I think, for this section, right here. Okay. Now it's time to clean up our hands again. You will get glue all over your hands. Set that aside, that one's got glue on it. Okay, let's go ahead and put the rest of these on there. We can do that. Oops. Okay, and again, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go in between where we had cones, pines before. We're just filling it in as we go. Just going to keep going, oops, around and around. Got one more. Does that have glue on it? Yep. We'll go ahead and put that one on there. Let's just do it right there. Again, clean your hands. And like I said, you're going to get lots of glue on there. And the problem with getting glue on your hands is that everything eventually just sticks to it. So, okay, so we're going to do another row. And this is going to be probably just shy of 2 inches. Like 1 7/8 probably. I'm going to go ahead and cut 2 of those. And we're going to do this same thing, same exact thing. next row too. I think we're going to need them all. So just keep doing that until you have all of them cut. Okay, so I went ahead and finished these petals, and we're going to attach these, and then we're going to come back in and probably do a few more. And I think that we're going to do the same thing here, put a little on the inside and then down the tail. I think that one strip of paper, that 8 or 9 inch strip, is enough to do maybe this whole pine cone. If we need a little more, it's going to be just a little. So let's do these. So again, we're going to come in between where we put, so you can see we've 2 petals there and a gap. So we're going to fill in the gap here. Coming down just a little. Okay, same thing, next one. Right in there. Right here. Another one here. Okay, so there's a row. Okay, let's go ahead and got that. Let's do a few more here. Enough to do another row. Do the same thing. We're going to come in and fill in, and we're coming in just below where we put the last ones, in between the previous. Put one more right in there. You want to keep that cup in there. We're just going to keep going. One more, I think, for this section, right here. Okay. Now it's time to clean up our hands again. You will get glue all over your hands. Set that aside, that one's got glue on it. Okay, let's go ahead and put the rest of these on there. We can do that. Oops. Okay, and again, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go in between where we had pines before. We're just filling it in as we go. Just going to keep going, around and around. Got one more. Does that have glue on it? Yep. We'll go ahead and put that one on there. Let's just do it right there. Again, clean your hands. And like I said, you're going to get lots of glue on there. And the problem with getting glue on your hands is that everything eventually just sticks to it. So, okay, so we're going to do another row. And this is going to be probably just shy of 2 inches. Like 1 7/8 probably. I'm going to go ahead and cut 2 of those. And we're going to do this same thing, same exact thing. And I'll cut this next row too. Because I think we're going to need them all. So just keep doing that until you have all of them cut. Okay, so we've got them all cut, and we're going to do the same thing. So continue on. Until you have all of these done. Okay, so I've got these almost all shaped. Last 2. Okay, so let's take maybe 8 of them and put some glue on those. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to fill in, so you can see that we've got a gap here. So I'm just going to like take it and I'm going to keep that curl in it, so to speak, where the you see these are going to start curling down the side of your egg. And put a couple down and then keep going around. And if you find that it's getting too wet, let it dry a little bit in between. And again, just like we did before, just keep going around. Over here. Okay, again, I'm going to clean off my hands because I got glue on them. And we do 8 more. Oops, lost one. There we go. Oops, stuck to my fingers. Okay, come back in and you want to smooth down what you have. Okay, so we'll come right in. And this is a time where I like to start turning it upside down and doing it from the underside. And just filling it in this way. Oops, don't want to, ooh, it stuck to me. Let's see, we need one here. There we go. See, I got glue on my fingers. Let's put this right in there. Okay, now we're going to set this aside and let it dry just a little bit. You can see you're starting to get that pine cone shape. And remember those pieces that we had before we didn't use? This is where those are going to come into play. So I'm just going to set that down. And I'm going to come back to these because these are going to fill in here nicely. These ones that we didn't use from the row before, you know, the very beginning, like row 1 or 2. Again, we're just filling in gaps. See, we're getting that real pine cone look there. So we're going to take these that we had from the first part too, and let's go ahead and do those, at least a few of them. Let's just do those real quick. And this way, you can see we didn't even use, we're almost done. We didn't even use the whole 8 or 9 inch piece of crepe that we started with. So you could do, if you had a roll of this crepe, gosh, you could do a ton of pine cones. Okay, let's include these. And you don't technically have to put this on a stem. I put it on a stem because I want to put it into either an arrangement or put it on, I'll probably add it to my mantle or put them in my tree. And it's really helpful, I think, to have the stem on there to do that. And we're going to cut one more short row just to fill it and make it neater on the bottom. So you take this one. Probably need about 6 or 8 more petals. So cut 9. Separate those. So, and these, all we're doing is fluting on the edges and giving them a little curl, or a little cup. And I think the thing that really makes these come to life is if you take them outside and spray them with some Design Master or paint of your choice, or you could use pan pastels. You could do anything you want. I like to take them outside and spray them with some Design Master because it's so fast and easy. And I use, when I'm using this, I will use a couple of colors. Now, not everybody's going to have as many, they're not as crazy as I am. They're not going to have all the colors that I do. I would use on this, I'd hit it first with a little, just a few spritzes and just a of probably green, like basil. And I would probably hit it with a little bit of black just to add some dimension. And all I'm doing now is just making this bottom look pretty, quite frankly. It doesn't really do a lot except add that. You can see, so we've got it all centered around there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the rest of this, a piece of this, and go ahead and cover my stem. And this is optional. You don't have to do this. I like to do this just because it finishes everything off nicely. And then I'm going to let this dry a little bit, but once it's dry, then I'm going to come in and stick my finger under here and emphasize that cup a little bit and go through almost all of them. Fluff it out just a little. And by doing that, we're opening it up a little. And that'll emphasize the cupping in there. And I'm going to take this outside, and because you don't want to do it inside, I'm going to take this outside and I'm going to spray it. And I'm going to show you what I come up with when I do it. Now, usually I might want to make it a little more elongated, but it doesn't matter. Everyone's different. I mean, gosh, I've done a dozen of these and I don't think any two of them are the same. But you get the idea. I think it's going to be really pretty. And once you spray it, when you spray it, the suggestion that I have is spray it with it facing down. And that keeps the color true here. So I'll first take it with green and I'll spray it coming down at this angle or at a 45-degree angle, and I'll hit it with a little bit of that green, and then I'll come in with just a little black to add a little depth to it. Then I might come in and turn it sideways and just with a little gold, and that gives you that nice metallic look, and I think that makes it really pretty. So there you have it. I will come back and finish up and show you what it looks like after I complete painting it. So thanks so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'd love to see your pine cones. Okay, so welcome back. So here is my finished pine cone, and I took it outside, as I mentioned, and I sprayed it with some with some Design Master spray paint. I used a little bit of black, and then I used a copper spray paint. I think it's a Krylon spray paint. So the black was was Design Master, and the copper is just regular craft spray paint. And as always, when I'm spraying these pine cones, because I like to keep the variations in the color, if I spray it from the bottom up, then I'm just going to get color on these outer edges, and I'm not going to be getting anything on these inner edges. And you can see how it just hits these edges. It looks great. And then I just hit it from the top with a little bit of copper. So wouldn't this look pretty with a couple of sprigs of pine? This is made out of paper. It's white. It's could be seen better days, but it would look pretty with that, or maybe even an ornament. Next week I'll show you how to make some handcrafted ornaments. And I think this was really fun to make. I'd love to see your creations. As always, if you enjoy my videos, please like and subscribe to my channel. And if you are inspired by any of my projects, please use the hashtag #CraftingWithSusanB. And don't forget to tag me on social media at Susan Bond Designs as well. So once again, thanks so much for joining me. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and let's keep on crafting.